Hello everyone, I'm Drew from Napa Valley Paddle, and I'm gonna go over how to paddleboard, a basic introductory lesson here on the Napa River. And this will get you up and going and not give you too much to think about, because this sport is a very natural motion. When I say that, it comes naturally to people. The growth trajectory of this sport's a lot like paddle or snowboarding. I don't know, back in the early 90s when that sport just took off, and just took over 60% of the market. And largely that was because snowboarding also, it's a very natural motion. It's a maybe more natural way to get down a ski slope. And so paddleboarding has been around for thousands of years as well. People standing and paddling in long boats from the outlying farm areas to bring produce to the marketplace, and all over the world it's been a style of transportation. So I'm going to go over 3 quick bullet points that'll get you on the water safely, and leave the details and the nuances to yourself. You can learn this on your own. So rule number 1 is you always launch on your knees. The only place you can really get hurt's on this dock, so you want to launch on your knees. Once you get going and you familiarize yourself with the board, and you need to trust the board. Okay, once you have that confidence and you're ready to stand up, rule number 1, keep your head up and your eyes on the horizon. Okay, so you don't want to look down and you don't want to look back. It throws off your equilibrium. You want to keep your head up and your eyes on that horizon and trust your board. Okay, the rule number 2 is, and this is really the lesson, rule number 2 is you keep your top arm straight when you paddle. All right, so your hands, you want your hands just about wider than your shoulders slightly, and then you rotate, boom, that's where your stroke starts. Okay, and you keep those arms straight and you bend at the waist. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. Okay, people on their first, second time, you tend to pull this arm in and paddle like this. Okay, everyone does. It's you're focusing on balancing. It's a new thing, and you tend to do that. But the key is here, you keep those arms straight, bend at the waist. 1, 2, 3. Okay, pay attention to your stomach. Your stomach should tighten on every stroke. All right, if it's not staying tight on those strokes, this arm top here, it's bent in like this. Okay, the third rule, and it's really the same as the second, when you're in that position, when you're in proper paddle position, your paddling is correct. Okay, those arms are straight and your stomach's tight and you're engaged with the water. Okay, this paddle is like the third leg of a stool. You're incredibly stable in that position. Okay, you're less stable when that paddle is past your foot. You're less stable when you're transitioning forward. You're certainly less stable when this paddle's out of the water. Okay, but when your stomach's tight and those arms are straight and you're engaged with that water, just like that, third leg of a stool. And that's, you see these pros paddling over waves in the ocean, and you're wondering how they balance, and that's how they balance. Okay, when this paddle's in the water, all right, right there. Okay, right there, when that paddle's in the water, solid. And they're always keeping that paddle in the water. I mean, literally, weight almost comes off your board onto that paddle when you're solid connection with that, when you're engaged with the water. Okay, so that's the way it works. It's not like a bicycle. Okay, for example, a bicycle, you're stable when you're moving. It's not the case with paddleboarding. Paddleboarding, you're stable when you're engaged with that water. All right, and that's the key to the sport. Once you learn that you're stable when you're paddling, that's when you start getting skinnier and skinnier boards, because you know that you stand on it, it's this skinny little 28-inch touring board maybe. You're like, oh, this doesn't feel stable. Well, it's just a sensation, right? It's because your paddle's not in the water. So once you're boom engaged like that, it's a solid ride. And it takes some time, so don't rush it. But those are the 3 rules here at Napa Valley Paddle, the lesson we've been giving for 9 years. Number 1 is, keep your head up and your eyes on the horizon. Number 2, you want to keep that top arm straight, but you want to keep your arms straight. And make sure your core is tight, your stomach's tight on every stroke. And number 3, if a boat wake comes by, and this is probably the most family-oriented paddling in the Bay Area, it's warm water, it's restored tidal estuary, it's flat water, you get help from the wind and the tides. But if you do get a wake, you just make sure you paddle through it, okay? So when that little wake is rolling under your board, you want to be right there in that position, engaged with the water. And if you are, you're going to feel like you could have handled a 1.5-foot wave, okay? If that little roller rose under your board, your paddle's past your foot, you might fall. But we like to say it's maybe where you want to be anyway on a 100-degree day. So don't be afraid to fall in. That's it from Napa Valley Paddle. I'm Drew Dixon, the owner, and we hope to see you out here soon. Cheers.